Hi. That's about a metaphor for my life till recently. So scary things. Hi everyone. My name is Meredith, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Meredith.
My sobriety date is 9/14/22. So, like Sandra said, this is my birthday, and I'm incredibly grateful for 2 years today. And I owe a lot of that to not only folks who are in this room, folks who are somewhere else, but in the city, in the state, in the country, to this program, and to a connection that I've been able to develop with a power greater than myself, who I call God. It gets more complicated, but we don't have time for my theology lesson. I'd rather tell about things about me. I have some timers set here on my wrist so that I can try to make sure and have a somewhat of structure to what I'm going to say. I have a sponsor. She has a sponsor. And I have a home group, which is Heartbreakers, Monday nights at 7 at across from the zoo. And it's my great joy to get to be of service there and to hopefully one day be sponsoring folks. I am available to sponsor, and I have spoken to 4 women, and they have not texted me back or called me. But I wonder if one of them is calling themselves my sponsee. I truly believe, and I've heard this other folks say it, and it resonates with me, that I was an alcoholic before I took a first drink. That the spiritual malady that I've gotten the opportunity to learn so much about existed within me, and the solution to it was alcohol and other things. I have heard in the rooms from so many folks things that felt like secret knowledge that they were not allowed to know about me. I was an incredibly gifted kid, pulled for all the programs, college age reading in second grade, told everyone about it. Still tell everyone about it. And I had just this internal feeling, though, that was hard for anyone to understand. It felt as I could be in a room like this, so many people, I could be at my own birthday, there for me, all these people, and I felt alone. I felt like I did not know how to speak to people, how to connect, how to be a person. I've heard this before, and it also spoke to me so much. Again, it felt like a secret knowledge they weren't allowed to know. There was a manual that got passed out, and it was everyone had access to it, and I did not. And that's just how I grew up feeling. I come from an alcoholic home. I come from a home with a lot of mental illness, but that was inside the walls of the home. Outside of the walls, we were a very good, normal, and perfect family. No notes. Inside the home, it was something else. I didn't start drinking really until I was 17, but I do have 2 experiences from when I was a kid when I would panic on a boat, and my dad would be really tired of me panicking, and he would give me alcohol. 7 and then like 13 about. And it did make me not panic. But I didn't then seek out that, because he told me if I drank or smoked weed or did anything, he would kill me and hide the body. And he knew how to do that. And so I was pretty certain he would. But I started getting more freedom in my life. And that first drink of alcohol that I chose to have solved every internal problem like that. I knew how to talk to people. I was the funniest, prettiest, yada, yada, yada. I know so many folks feel those same things. I say all of this to qualify myself, and to also, if somebody else in this room may feel that they don't know that feeling exists in someone else, for me, it was really strong. And I ran with it to the detriment of everything. High school valedictorian turned many times college dropout. You have to go to college for them to continue to have you be enrolled there. And I instead preferred to drink, and I preferred to have mental breakdowns. I preferred to, I had too many grandparents die all of this time. Like, grandparents were always dying, more grandparents than one would have. To a professor, I'd be like, oh, so sorry about that 6 page. I definitely will have it. I am flying to insert the city. Um, that's all to say, my life was unmanageable, but I had nobody around me was telling me that um, at all. People could see it, but I got called on this morning to speak at a really wonderful group, and it was about the ninth step, and we were talking about responsibility. I could not take responsibility for any of that, and no one around me held me responsible. That alcoholic father I talk about, I lost him to suicide when I was 18, and that fact, I believe, got the eyes off me for a long time. I was burning my life down. I was getting DUIs that I got off of because my last name was spelled incorrectly on the arresting paperwork. I had all of these crazy things happening all of the time, but nobody said anything because, I mean, if your dad died like that, you'd drink too. Um, so this comes to my 20s, which were all of the things. I don't need to necessarily go through all of that. If you ever want to have a coffee and hear about some wild and crazy things, I'll trade stories. I'm sure everyone here has equally baffling things to happen. But the characteristic of the progression of my disease is I couldn't see what the problem was. Everyone else was at fault. Everyone else around me and my circumstances, my mental illness, I got diagnosed with MS. That was the thing that was holding me back. Every single thing was someone else's fault, things I did not have control over. I could not see that alcohol and outside issues that I could stop if I chose to stop drinking, or at least try to stop drinking, could change that. I came to the rooms for the first time on January 6, 2016, which I only keep remembering as a sober date because 1616 sounded so lovely. Um, I don't carry that sober date anymore, so relapse is a big part of my story. But I came into the rooms because of an almost successful attempt of my own life. Got shipped off to Lakeside Milam. They did their magic on me. I had a great time. I made a lot of friends, smoked cigarettes outside, learned about this God thing. Whatever I needed to do at that point, I had that beautiful thing, that gift of desperation, which I wouldn't wish on somebody, but at the same time, I am incredibly grateful for it. Although I don't carry that sober date today, the things that I learned and I got to experience in that first, I was sober for about a year and a half. That first time were incredible. But so much of it was a pink cloud and a high. I ran through the steps. I had a sponsor. I had a lineage that I was a part of. It was so cool. I was the center of the universe. I didn't really pray, but I told everyone I prayed. I just needed to sound great. It was that perfectionism thing running its way again. And when I started to drift from the program, those old habits of feeling separate really returned. I really felt like, oh my goodness, I was so popular. Nobody likes me now. It's all clicky. AA is kind of like toxic, actually. All of that stuff started to run through me. And I blamed it all outside when really what had happened was I had a problem, I think, with surrender from the jump. I think my second step experience, although it sounded great, I don't know if I continued to remember that I had, came to believe that a power greater than self could return me sanity. And then step three, that I was going to turn my life over to that. I think I used to say I worked the steps backwards. Like I ghosted my sponsee, stopped praying, didn't do inventory, and it went all the way back to step one. And then all of a sudden I was an alcoholic. I relapsed, was out for a period of time, came back, hit the ground running again in 2017, had another what I believe to be an intense spiritual experience, but I again didn't truly give it away. I didn't give my will away, and I didn't give this message away at all. I kept it for myself. What it's like now for me in 2024, carrying 2022, 9/14/22 as my sober date, is that I have had what I truly believe is a profound spiritual experience. I hope to carry this date for the rest of my life, but I don't know. That is what the experience of relapse has really taught me, is that I was so sure. I have a tattoo here of an AA symbol I got 3 months sober the first time, and I wanted him to put my sober date there because it was a perfect sober date, and I would never have another one ever again. But it's that kind of like certainty feeling that I felt about my recovery that I truly have left in a lot of ways. I don't know what is going to happen in the future. I know what I have today, which is a beautiful community around me. I have, above everything else, a connection to a power greater than myself that I feel is very genuine. And when it gets a little thready, my experiences of relapse tell me that God didn't go anywhere. I may have left. May have dipped out on all of the principles and all of the steps and everything. I may have taken it all back. But the moment I was ready to admit again that I was an alcoholic, the moment I was ready to come back into a room, nobody judged me at all. I was met with open arms and love, and we're so glad you're here. Welcome back. Nobody made fun of me. Oh, some people made fun of me, but they're my loving friends, and they're making fun of me fuels me, it turns out. Today, what it really looks like is a lot of those problems I was talking about, of feeling distant from others and feeling I need to be perfect, feeling I need to be in control of everything because I am right, all those things that alcohol helped me to solve. I do believe I have another solution. It doesn't mean those things don't crop up, but I know at the end of the day that I don't have to feel that way, nor do I most of the time. And when it gets thready, I'm not alone out in the wilderness. I'm not trying to work this thing by myself. I'm not trying to do recovery without the program. I'm surrounded by people who will go, excuse me? What do you think? What do you think you're doing here? You know, sometimes a little more roughly, sometimes a little more gently, but I have accountability around me to stay close to this thing. My experience of relapse also tells me that although for some folks out there, there might be ways in which they're able to do it, for this alcoholic, there's no other way that I have found that is successful, besides the fact that I got a very good sponsor, got plugged in with her, got really tied up with service, have a home group I always go to, practice the steps, pray, and at the end of the day, have faith that if I continue to do these things, evidence has shown me that I will be able to stay here and get to have opportunities like this. I think I have a little bit of time. I tried to plan this out. I wasn't nervous, by the way, for any of this at all until about 20 minutes before I got in my car and went, should I be nervous? Does this feel like a thing I should have nerves about? Then I heard it was being recorded. I was like, that seems like a thing that if I had known about, I'd absolutely have been dying. So glad I didn't know until now. My message, I think, will evolve as time goes on. I had a really strong message when I came in 2016. It didn't turn out well. I had a great relapse and recovery story choice. It was a great story. Didn't turn out well. I don't know right now if I have as much. I have funny anecdotes, but I don't know if my story has to be funny or witty or the most incisive thing you've ever heard in your life. What it is for me is that I've heard it before and it resonates. I look in the mirror and more often than not, pretty okay with the person that's there. I don't feel like I'm the best person in every single room. I don't feel like I'm the worst person. Really happy with somewhere gentle and in the middle. I used to think all those things that were said were kind of corny. I love them now. I want to be in the middle of the boat. I want to be with y'all. Y'all are some of the most intensely incredible people I've ever met in my entire life. Everyone's a little weird, and everyone's been at my back even if they don't know me. This whole thing is a miracle. So with that, thank you everyone for giving this time, and I'm going to close and give it over to Cass. Thanks, y'all.